Are you like me and wanted to turn your childhood love for Pokemon into a online Pokemon business doing 7,000 items sold, $40,000 in revenue and going from 0 to over 2,000 followers in, a few months? Then this is the video for you. I'm going to walk you through. I'm still very early on in my journey, but I am the owner and operator and streamer for Stone Mill Hobby. We are at Stone Mill Hobby on TikTok and stonemillhobby.com. So, really, I just wanted to use this video as a way to show you guys how I got started, right? Because I know when I first started, I had no idea what to do, how to do it, what to focus on. So I just want to, as I go through, as I learn things, as this progresses, I just want to be able to share my knowledge with those that want to do the same. And backdrop here is me building some product for a stream that I ran the other day. So with all that said, again, Stone Mill Hobby, stonemillhobby.com. If you're interested in checking out anything we're doing, certainly TikTok, probably the best place right now. But again, stonemillhobby.com. But without further ado here, let's just talk about how I got started. So I think the biggest thing that you need to do in order to get started and potentially set yourself up for success, it's going to be building your knowledge. And the best place to start building your knowledge is with actual Pokemon, right? Understanding the product, understanding the market, understanding the competitor, the competitors, the competitive landscape, everything out there, right? So this is, where I focused a lot of my time for several months, really, just trying to figure out, is this something that I actually want to do? I was, like most kids in the late 90s, early 2000s, super into Pokemon, collecting cards like crazy. Took a whole lot of time off in between 24 months ago from today and then. So that's almost 20 years potentially between when I was collecting as a kid to now trying to get back into it. So that I had a lot to learn. So what I did was one, I followed as many different creators as I could find to try to learn a bit more about Pokemon in general, the current state of Pokemon. It's a whole lot different than the base set jungle fossil days of the late 90s, right? So having these alt arts and illustration rares and all this other stuff that's brand new, take your time, fully understand what's going on in the product so you can become an expert, right? You don't want to um, come in and just try to fake it. That you're going to lose customers right away if you're trying to be a streamer. No one's going to buy that you're into it, and you're going to lose all credibility, right? So following as many different creators as you can find, on YouTube, on TikTok, streamers. Go and watch as many streams, as much time as you can spend on streams. I highly recommend you doing that, right? Take advantage of it. It's free entertainment and it's a free source of knowledge for you. So find those lives on TikTok and whatnot, even that have the most people in them, and understand what they're doing. How are they making it fun? How are they making it? How are they making it different than just every other rip and ship site that allows them to get more people in there? Understand what products they are ripping. Understand, if you see a product you've never seen or don't understand, go and look up that product. When did that product release? Why is it going for so much more compared to these other products? Are there top chases in there that are, the Moonbreon from Evolving Skies? Like, why are these packs going for $15 to $20 a piece? It's Sword and Shield era. That's not that old. But, I mean, when you look at all the top chases in that set, it makes a whole lot more sense. So getting that knowledge and understanding that and doing the research is going to set you up for success in understanding, one, what product to initially buy and how to initially start marketing your live streams and your site and everything else. But it also helps you spot trends to then know that in future releases, oh, we really want to load up on this new product because it has evolutions in it, and I think there's going to be some illustration and special illustration rare evolutions that are going to be worth a lot. Going in and viewing these streams and just going into top sellers on TikTok in the Pokemon section to understand, okay, what items are selling, what sets are selling at the most volume. TikTok makes it super easy to go in and see, okay, this seller has these 50 listings. You can go into each one of those and see how many of each of those items that seller has sold. So you can instantly see, okay, what's actually selling, and understanding that they're selling these at $5 a pack and they've got 1,000 sold, and then go to somebody else who's trying to sell that same pack for $7 a pack and they have five or six sold. Okay, you know that $5 to maybe 5.50 is the sweet spot now, right? So you're able to set your prices competitively while understanding the market trends. And then the last thing that I think you need to do before you ever start buying product or trying to set up lives or anything like that is determine how you want to start, right? So us, at Stone Mill Hobby, we started with pull boxes. Pull boxes were all the rage, but there weren't a ton of them when we started. I watched, the same 4 or 5 people doing pull boxes every day. Other than that, I did not come across many of them. And most of them were selling their pulls at $10 to $15 a pull. So my niche when I first started was $5 or less per pull, and we're putting some really nice slabs in there. And because of that, I instantly got traction because I dove 100% in. I understood the pull box market, and I knew how to go about making sure that I wasn't, undercutting them because I didn't have $700, $1,000 slabs in mine. I was just a more accessible entrance into the pull box uh, game, if you will, for collectors that didn't want to come and spend 10, 15, $20 per pull. So I think that's building that knowledge is the first place you need to start. Okay, so you've built your knowledge. You understand at least a good chunk of what's going on in the current market of Pokemon. Now what? Well, you take that knowledge and you figure out what product you're going to buy. And again, what you're going to buy all depends on what niche you want to fit into. So I'm going to go from my experience, my first time buying product, again, was for a pull box, right? So I knew that I needed some lower end cards, just your standard pulls, your Vs, Vmaxes, EXs, low end illustration rares, things like that. So I scoured sources, and that's part one, right? You need to spend a whole lot of time sourcing. If you're not interested in constantly shopping and being on eBay and Facebook Marketplace and all the Discord sites and everything else, then this probably isn't going to be for you because early on, buying product isn't as easy as saying, oh, I'm going to reach out to a distributor and they're going to start selling me a bunch of booster boxes for half the cost of what I can sell them for. One, you aren't going to get a distributor for quite some time. It's nearly impossible if you're online only. I personally do not have a distributor yet. Again, I'm only a few months into this, done about 40,000 in revenue, nowhere near distro level. So you don't have a distributor. What do you do? For me, again, it was buying product online through a whole bunch of different sources. eBay is good to confirm that you're getting product, it's legit, all that. But you're paying 100+% of comps, right? So there are better sources out there. I suggest just finding anything that's a Pokemon buy sell group anywhere, get in there, and start making connections, right? The more you buy from these bigger sellers on these Discord sites, things like that, the more they're going to want to work with you, the more they're going to want, or they're going to trust you, and thus the better deals you're going to get. And when they have a stack of 40 vintage hollows, if you're primarily doing vintage sales, they're going to come reach out to you first. Hey, do you want this stack of vintage hollows? And yeah, you're going to get the first right of refusal, if you will, on those. So definitely, it's all about building connections and being consistent with your sourcing. um, Comparing, tracking auctions, I think that's a great way to also build some knowledge leading into things. I know I did a lot of just watched items, watched auctions on eBay to see how things were ending before I was ever ready to buy. It was just understanding, okay, how do these cards typically go? Uh, Certainly there are some fluctuations. We're seeing a lot of alt arts and 151 right now go through the roof. So, you got to be aware of those trends, right? And, it's just all about staying up on the market trends. To do that, uh, I recommend two sites. So it's going to be TCG Player, only for raw cards, of course. So they only do raw. They really only do English. They're starting to make a foray into Japanese cards, but they're not really there yet. So English cards, you can break it down by condition. It's great. You get an understanding of market, um, and then price charting, and that's where you're going to do your Japanese and your graded card averaging out. So it's all right there for you. Super helpful. If you are planning on getting into this, those two sites need to become, your landing pages on your Google searches and everything else. That's where you're going to live. And then you need to, when buying product, understand the cost versus your expected income. For example, my first pull box was, we'll say, 200 total cards, and my planned price per pull was $5 per pull. Again, because at that time I was way under what the few pull boxes were doing, so I knew that I would have a quick market fit for the that level of collector, being able to get in while offering some vintage hollow hits and vintage hollow slabs and things like that. But it's all about averaging out. Okay, so if my total income from this pull box is $1,000, we being an online business, this is part time for us right now. We don't have huge overhead, right? So if we can make 15 to 20%, that's great. Oftentimes it's a little bit lower than that, but just being able to factor that in, that, okay, I want to get 10 chase cards at least 10x the buy-in. So those are 10 $50 cards. Right there, that's $500 in cost. And then I want to have 20 $5 cards in there that are equal to a pull amount. So that's another $100. And then, again, if you're good at sourcing, you can find bulk V's, EXs, trainer galleries, cards like that for 50 cents a card. And then that's going to average out the rest of yours. A lot of people, I know I put a lot of sealed booster packs into my pull boxes as well. So just another way to make it exciting, not just being EXs, and it doesn't just have to be top chase slabs or anything like that. But again, that's strictly pull box. Whatever you're deciding to do, just know what the market rate is for the product you're trying to sell, and make sure you're giving yourself enough meat on the bone, if you will, for being able to support yourself while building out the business. And on the flip side, I think it's important to realize that buying in this sense, you're buying for your business, right? That's a big mindset shift for some, where, hey, this is a cool card, this is going in my PC, having to keep that mentality separate, right? Because if you go out and make $1,000 in revenue on a pull box, and that represents, say, $200 to $250 in profit, right? We're just going round numbers here. That $250 doesn't just get pulled out, right? You're just starting off. You're trying to build a business. All of that has to go back in. So that's $1,000 in revenue. That is going to be now $1,000 in product, right? So it's very important that early on, when buying product, you're buying solely for the business and you're not pulling money out too early, right? You need to build up enough capital. Again, this is if you're bootstrapping like we were. We weren't starting with a $20,000 amount to just go crazy with. We were, okay, let's buy $100 in cards this week and $100 in cards next week, and then once we're ready to go live, we're good to go. But it might take a month and a half. And that's another thing with buying product. Don't rush it. Make sure you're getting good stuff. Take your time. Find the cards that are popular. Find the cards that are going to drive or packs. Again, like Evolving Skies, obviously super popular. English and Japanese 151. Find good prices on these products that people want. Right. That's your. Don't rush and just buy a $90 ETB for 151 and then say, well, yeah, I'm going to sell the packs for $14 each. The market can't support that, right? There's nobody spending $14 per pack on 151. So therefore, you've just bought product that you'll probably just end up having to sell as is. Probably lose money when you factor in fees and everything. So just take your time. Each purchase needs to be well thought out. You need to understand the actual projected revenue from selling that product to your buyers. So that's the biggest pieces there, I think, in buying. It's understanding the trends, understanding the comps, and then certainly understanding what you can actually sell it for, to understand what you can buy it for while leaving that meat on the bone, having that, potential for profit there. Okay, so you've got your product, whatever it is. Is it packs? Is it ETBs? Is it, uh, collection boxes that you're breaking down? Is it you went to Sam's Club and got 20 of those Crown Zenith boxes, the Sea and Sky boxes, and now you're going to sell Crown Zenith for $5 a pack? Whatever it is, you've got your product. Now you have to decide where you are going to sell it, right? So there's some goods and bads with everything, right? So I'm going to discuss the three avenues that I at least at a high level know. Number one, and where we started, was TikTok Shop. So at the time of signing up, it was pretty easy to get the TikTok Shop. Now I see people having, nothing but trouble and going through these hoops and everything to try to get access to it. So keep that in mind. It may be a little bit more involved than when I tried to do it, right? With that said, the best thing there is one, you're reaching, millions of people. I go live and some days it's low, but some days I have 1,000 people in my live right away, right? So you're reaching a very, very large audience. And the difference between TikTok Shop and the other two that I'm going to be discussing is TikTok Shop, somebody doesn't even have to be specifically looking for Pokemon cards to stumble across you. I've had people come into my live and say, I don't collect Pokemon. Why is TikTok telling me to be here? And then they sit there for an hour and they enjoy the show, and then my next show they're buying, or that show they buy. I have a customer that I have become good friends with, and he got a super high end pull off of like a $10 investment in one of my pull boxes, got him hooked on Pokemon. Now I've bought cards from him, just to give him store credit, things like that. Like it's just crazy the way TikTok works, and the way the algorithm works, and just reaches people, and it allows you to, again, reach the biggest audience and give yourself the best shot at, potentially bringing in more clients, more customers, but also getting more followers, right? So I went from 0 followers, I'm over 2,000 now. Being honest, guys, I took 4.5, 5 months off. I started a new full-time job and had to take a good amount of time off from this. I just got back into it last month, and it's crazy. Like I'm gaining 200 plus followers every stream at this point. So it's just the reach that TikTok has is really unbelievable. And the TikTok Shop is a super easy way for buyers to get your stuff, right? And they're confident because they're backed by TikTok being able to support them, protect them, and so on. The negatives here are, especially early on, TikTok holds your money for a long time. So I think when you first start with a TikTok Shop, they hold the money for 15 days after it's delivered. So I'm very good at shipping out my product the next day for the most part. Uh, but that still means 3 to 5 days before it's delivered, and then another 15 days on top of that before I ever see the money, right? So when you're talking about bootstrapping and not having a ton of capital leading into this, that is a big detractor that I, invested $700 in this. I made $900, but that $900 is, I can't access it for at least 20 days. So there is that right there, right? There's also the fact that they randomly ban people, they randomly put you under violations where they hold your money even longer, even if you have done 7,000 in sales with 4.9 stars across 200 reviews. They don't really care. They're TikTok, they're untouchable, right? So, there's that piece. I would say those are the negatives. Positives, again, you're going to have unbelievable reach with TikTok. The next one I want to talk about is one that I have not done a ton on, and it's Whatnot. So Whatnot is strictly, collectibles and things like that, right? So Pokemon's a big part of that. The issue with Whatnot is it is very hard to be discovered on Whatnot. And there's a few main streamers on Whatnot that take 90 to 95% of the viewer share. So, what I've seen people do is go into those large streamers and start buying donation packs and getting shout outs from mods and hey, make sure you're following this person, make sure you're following Stone Mill Hobby. Their first live's coming up. Like they are very supportive over there. I will say that, especially the largest of the large streamers over there, because they know that they've reached the peak, the pinnacle. They're pretty untouchable. They don't think Stone Mill Hobby's going to come in and steal a big chunk of their market share, right? So with that, they're willing to say, hey, Stone Mill Hobby's running a pull box. Make sure you're following him if you're there consistently supporting their streams and throwing, $5, $6 here and there on donation packs, right? So that's how you get shout outs. That's how you can grow kind of organically for not a ton of money. Like you're not buying ads or anything like that. So, that's one way to do it. Obviously, giveaways are a big part of Whatnot. If you can support doing giveaways consistently, certainly you want to do that. But again, as a new streamer bootstrapping with a $500 total investment pull box type of thing, just didn't have the ability to do that. I may, go back into to Whatnot, but I just don't see the value for our business at this point. And again, that may change. That may be, as we grow and have the ability to drive more people organically there without having to invest a bunch of money. We may do it, but at this point, Whatnot is great for some scenarios, but it just wasn't a great fit for us. And then the last thing about both TikTok and Whatnot, and TikTok was a whole lot different when I first started and did majority of my selling there. They had like 4% fees at that point. They're up to 9%, I believe. And I believe Whatnot is around 10 or 11%. So that's another big piece to kind of understand as your costs that go into a business. And every sale you make, you're losing 9 to 11%. So again, you have $1,000 in revenue on a pull box. You've just lost $100 of that. So again, understanding your costs, understanding your cost of goods sold, everything else is 100%. It's even more important if you're going to leverage one of those two sites. And then eBay, don't even get me started with eBay. They're like 14%. There's no way you can consistently sell on eBay and make much money at all unless you're finding incredible deals at like 40 to 50% of comps. Then you can make some money. But realistically, eBay just isn't there's not enough margins in Pokemon for you to be able to consistently sell on eBay. So that brings us to our last, or at least the last avenue that I know, and that is going to be building your own website. So, as I, stated at the beginning of this, we're on TikTok at Stone Mill Hobby, but we're also at stonemillhobby.com. We leverage Wix. It's been great so far. It's around $30 a month, so there is that fee. So add that into your cost of doing business, if you will. But the fees are just really payment processing fees there. So you pay 2.9% and then 30 cents per transaction. So 3%, sometimes less, depending on how big each transaction is. So it's a whole lot better for the bottom line if you can drive people to your website. And that's a big if, right? It's all about building the credibility in your brand first, which is something that we will talk about. Building a brand, it's something that we're still working on. We don't know it that well yet. Hopefully, at some point we'll have this amazing brand. Everyone will know Stone Mill Hobby. But today, it's all about getting on lives. And TikTok does not like when you talk about outside websites. So it's having your mods in your live streams post about it. It's having an understanding of how can I say this without actually saying it? How can I incentivize people to listen to what I'm saying between the lines to go to my link in bio? Things like that. But again, once you're there, you have complete control over every listing. Again, TikTok is very strict about how you list things, what you list. They review everything. Half the time mine get removed or completely, they don't go through. whatever it might be. So just keep that in mind too. Having complete control over your destiny 100% by using a Wix or a Shopify site. So, I highly recommend doing that at the beginning. It's worth the $30 investment to just have that built there. So again, as you build that community, as you build that credibility and people know you, they start to show up to your show every time. I have my day one crew, as I call them, that are there in every stream, or at least pop in for a few minutes of every stream, and they have no issues. They trust me 100%. They bought from me 30 times, right? They know that they can come in and buy through the website. It saves me money, it saves them money, and we don't have to deal with any of the TikTok stuff. But again, that comes with time, that comes with being able to, again, build that community around you. So again, those are the three options I think that make the most sense for a Pokemon card business. It's TikTok lives and building a TikTok shop. It's Whatnot. The Whatnot does have uh, at sometimes a waiting period. I don't know if they're doing a waiting period for vendors right now or not. I know it took me a little bit to get on there. And then your website. There's no waiting period there. But I believe if you don't have a TikTok shop, you do need to have 1,000 followers to go live on TikTok to drive people to your shop or your website. I mean, so there's give and take, but I would say probably at least try to set up a TikTok shop so that way you can go live with under 1,000 viewers. Um, but yeah, guys, that's all I'll say about that as far as best avenues for actually selling. All right, so you have your knowledge, you have your product, and you've got it at a great margin. You've built your website, you're on TikTok live, you're ready to do your first stream. I just would say 100% do not stress about it, like don't overthink it. Just go live. Go live, see who joins, just have conversations. I mean, my personal preference, I don't call out each and every person that joins. I know when I join a live and they call me out specifically, I tend to leave because I'm like, there's too much attention on me. Um, so I just, hey, how's it going, everyone? Welcome in, welcome in. Here's what we're doing. I just repeat myself a whole bunch. Try to keep the energy up, right? Try to make it fun. Try to make it exciting. Show off the product that you're selling that day. Let them know about different things. Let them know about why you got into the hobby. Like, give them a reason to really connect with you, right? And it's just about, okay, let's have some fun today. Let's open some Pokemon cards. Let's do some pulls. Let's run some slab packs, whatever it might be. Just, giving them the feeling that you're there for them, because I mean that's why I do it, right? Like I wanted to bring vintage hollows and cards back to the forefront, and my customers that find me, they found me initially because of all the vintage slabs and hollows and hits that I had, and they love vintage, and they just stuck around. And now when we run more modern stuff, yeah, they'll get in there. They have tons of fun doing it, but they found me because I started, and I just talked about my love of the vintage Pokemon cards from back when I was a kid, and that was my connection with Pokemon, and that's why I'm doing it today. I have an 8-year-old daughter who's into Pokemon, so we get to do that together. It's cool sharing some of the vintage cards with her and talking about, wow, this was the first holo that I ever pulled out of a pack, and things like that. So it just, gives you a connection with your viewers, with your potential buyers. And again, it bridges that gap between you just being some guy trying to sell something that I could go to one of 1,000 other TikTok streamers right now and buy this. But if you can build that connection, you can have some fun with people, you can give them a reason why they should break with you, then you're doing the right things there. Um, and then just making sure, and honestly I don't do a good job of this, but like lighting and setup and everything, like I just finally got a screen for a backdrop to at least display kind of what we're doing that day. Just having cool stuff like that, having cool, like I got Pokemon Legos in the backdrop now, throw up some slabs in the backdrop, whatever it might be. Just instantly when somebody joins, they should know, okay, what's going on here? Oh, we got Pokemon cards. All right, cool. What's in a stone pack? Oh, okay, it's right there on the screen. All right, cool. Yeah, that's cool. Let me grab one of those, whatever it might be. Just making it easy and visually appealing for your potential buyers. Um, and then the last thing I'll say here, as far as all of this goes, really. So you have your knowledge, you've bought your product, you've built your website, you're live on TikTok, you're driving people wherever they need to go to feel comfortable to buy from you. You're giving them an exciting live, you're giving them a reason to break with you. And then it's just the follow through on the back end, right? Making sure that you do and live up to what you say you're going to do, right? You are saying that all these cards in your pull box are near mint. Don't oversell it. Make sure your cards, when they arrive at the customer, they're actually near mint. Don't oversell, under deliver. Do the exact opposite. I'll always call out, hey, this card's beautiful, base set Blastoise, but there is one little white spot on the corner here. Just wanted you to be aware of that. Making them aware, have them understand everything, have the full knowledge before they buy from you, so that they, again, feel more comfortable and confident in knowing that, hey, I'm not trying to sweep something under the rug here. Everything I'm saying is true, and here's the proof I'm showing you right here. And then once the stream's over, making sure that you package that product, you get that product out quickly. TikTok's going to make you, trust me, you're going to get dinged if you don't have that out within 2 days. But it doesn't matter what service you're going through, what you're using to sell, ship it out quickly. You ship it quickly, people are going to be happy, they're going to be excited. They say, wow, I can't believe that. I'm going to go back again and buy more if I know it's going to come in 2-3 days. That's amazing. I pulled that card on Tuesday and now it's Friday morning and I have it in my hand. That's great. I didn't think there was any chance of that. Most streamers, it's, a week and a half, whatever it might be. Just being able to, follow through, but just that heightened sense of customer service and getting that customer satisfaction is how you're going to grow your business, right? Time and time again, it's wow, super fast shipping. Thanks, Stone Mill Hobby, and I'll be back for more. Had tons of fun on the live. The cards are great. It's these legitimate vintage and minty fresh condition, amazing. And that's why, again, I have 199 5-star reviews, 7,000+ items sold on TikTok, another 500-600 sold on our website. But again, this is just kind of part one of this series. Really, as I do things, learn things, probably going to do a video on, submissions for grading. I get questions around that a lot. It's not newer to Pokemon, but I think sports cards collectors, I think, are more used to sending in cards and grading, whereas Pokemon collectors usually just buy slabs. There's a select few that, slab up everything and then they sell to collectors. But more and more collectors wanting to start grading their own stuff. So I'll probably do a tutorial on what at least we do. We typically use CGC. They have a great membership program there to get discounts per submissions, things like that. But that's probably going to be my next video here. But if you're into this content at all or want to follow along as, again, we hopefully grow and scale this from 40,000 in revenue to 100,000 in revenue and beyond, certainly give us a subscribe. Like, comment, are there any things here that you'd like more explanation on? Anything I can go more in depth on? Obviously, I didn't want to talk forever on this video about specific things, but I just wanted to give you an overview of what I've learned in, I'll say a year, but realistically, it's been about 5 months of actively working on the business. So, certainly I've more knowledge than somebody that's on day one of their journey. Way less knowledge than people who have been doing it for years. I just wanted to kind of chronicle what I'm doing and share that with people who are trying to do the same thing, right? It's a really fun side hustle right now for us. Would love to make it a full-time thing where I can bring in my daughter and my family and have them working with me and packing orders and things like that. Dreams of grandeur there, maybe someday. But for now, just having a lot of fun building a community. But again, guys, thanks so much. Hopefully, I'll see you commenting and liking on this and future videos here. But again, Stone Mill Hobby on TikTok, stonemillhobby.com. Thanks, guys.